will talk to you a little bit more about how you can market yourself online without it sucking all your time and consuming your life. So I'm just waiting for the live feed to kick in and then we will kick start. So do let me know if you can hear me, you can see me. Do let me know where you're joining from. I'm just checking that it's actually working and then we'll go straight to it. The reasons why and how you can build that brand, win those clients without the stress. So it looks like we're live. So I am going to go up and here we go. So if you're joining me, there we go. We are live. It took me a little while to get going there. But in this live, I want to talk about 5 things or 5 ways that you can market yourself without taking a ton of time. I see a lot of people really eager to kind of do the whole social media thing and nail it. A ton of people are kind of really want to go for it. But I find that they burn themselves out. And so what happens is they start really excited, really energized, and then pretty quickly, they burn themselves out to the point where it's like they vanish. And, you know, it's all right if you're a full-time content creator. If you can sit and just go, the most important thing in my day to make money today, the most important thing is I create content and I spend time optimizing, algorithmizing, all of that stuff. If you can do that, knock yourself out. The reality is most people can't do that. They don't have the time. They don't have the inclination. And so inadvertently what happens is they go down this route without officially saying I'm going down this route. They say kind of like, yeah, I want to get myself out there. I want to win some clients. I want to build my business. I want to make more money, all that kind of stuff. But then unofficially in the back of their mind, they try and replicate what full-time content creators are doing. And they do it through excitement because they see all the metrics and wrongly assume that that means they must be making money. The amount of influencers and content creators that have come to me and said, I'm making no money is unreal. But they want a certain thing and then get sucked into doing one way, which actually isn't the way. And if you saw the testimonial I posted on LinkedIn this morning, I had a coach who came to me who didn't want to get sucked into that world and have it consuming all of their time. She wanted something a bit simpler. She didn't want to be salesy and she didn't want to be social media famous. She just wanted to go, I want some clients. I want to enjoy the work I do. I want to be present on social media, but I don't want to be in this rat race of needing impressions and needing all of that stuff. And I don't want to be in this kind of pushiness either. So it's kind of like the Goldilocks situation. And so what I wanted to do today in this live is literally talk through what are the key things that you have to do. And I believe there's 5 of them. You don't need to do them all, but you need to do at least 2 of them really, really well. And yeah, you don't need to do all 5. So let's just back up a little bit, right? We're in 2024. We're in a time when, number one, it's so scammy, right? It's so scammy. The world is riddled with people who, you know, another person who says, I can make you $1 million in 90 days. It's just ridiculous, right? I get emails all the time. I get messages all the time from people who, by the looks of it, started yesterday. There's no backstory. It's like they appeared from nowhere, but are suddenly this super successful person who can help you do all this stuff, but there's no track record, no nothing, or they're offering ridiculous promises. And one of my network posted a screenshot, anonymized, of an outreach message from somebody the other day. And it was basically, I can fill your diary with 300 qualified calls for your qualified calls in the next month. And it's like 300. Why the hell do you need 300? So the only reason you would need 300 is some of them are shit. Yeah. Crappy calls, undermines the qualified. But just think about it. If you said that each call took you like 30 minutes, that's 150 hours of calls. Like, that's insane. So it's just like messed up, and it's like bigger promises, more sizzle, all this stuff. Now, why you might be saying, well, I don't do that. I don't subscribe to that. I'm not in that camp. I've got the experience. I've got the track record. And that's all true, probably, for most of you watching me. There might be a few dodgy people watching. But here's the reality. You're still competing in all that noise. We're competing. I am competing with somebody who sets up a LinkedIn profile, maybe tried to run a marketing agency, maybe tried to do something else, and then realized LinkedIn's an easier game, so I'll become a LinkedIn guru. I'm still in that same space competing, and all of these wild promises, all of this sketchy stuff, all of the fake it till you make it stuff, all of that is one, undermining trust in you, trust in me, trust in everybody. But it's also making people tired and more skeptical. So this is the world we're operating in. I will get to the 5 things in a moment. This is the world we're operating in. We're operating in a low trust world. And we're also operating in a world where a lot of people are naive about how much experience they actually need to deliver for customers. It's tricky. It's hard. You know it. I know it. That's just the world we're in. I can see David's here and a few others. So we're operating in a world where low trust, zero, we're all skeptical, but also we're operating where bold, brash promises and people who are naive and inexperienced are in the market, and we're competing with people who are quite loud and brash, who maybe don't know what they're doing. One of the really interesting things is the more experience you get, the more nervous you will get about making big promises. And the reason that is because when you start out, you go, oh yeah, we can do this, we can do this. You don't really know what you don't know. You've not been through the mill a few times with clients who are difficult. You've not been through all of that experience. And so you're naive to the things that you don't know. And so it's easy for somebody inexperienced to just make bold promises. Whereas if you've been doing something for like I've been doing this for what, 7, 8, 10 years, something like that, 10 years. You've seen people, you've seen situations, you know that there's lots of different things. Your depth of experience is more. And so you're far more cautious about what you say and the promises you make, because it's wisdom. It's wisdom. But that is frustrating when you see other people making those big promises. So all of that, and painting that picture of the low trust and the naive, inexperienced people flooding the market, all of that leads me to one very, very important point. Now more than ever, it's harder to win clients. That's 100% true, because people are more picky, people are more cautious. Money's not as free-flowing as maybe it used to be. Things are a bit tighter for people of now, so people are far more discerning. What that means is that people will need to buy into you more than ever before. Now, what that really means is a little strategy that I talk about is see, taste, buy. And it's basically they have to have seen you, be aware of you, know who you are. Personal branding, awareness. That has always been necessary. And in my book, far too much of what's talked about online about personal branding focuses on that bit, just being visible. And if you're visible and popular, you'll get clients. It's not true. The second part of that is taste. And this is where people really buy into you. Can you give people a more in-depth experience of who you are, what you're about, and your experience, what you do, your know-how, your knowledge, who you are as a person? So C is visibility. Taste is about them experiencing that value and getting some proof for themselves. So not just relying on your testimonials and your reviews, but what's their feeling about what you've done? What's their experience been of what you've done? And creating the space for those in your marketing plan. So we all talk about visibility on LinkedIn, but visibility is not enough, right? In fact, there's a lot of people on LinkedIn have spent so much time building so much visibility, they've never actually done the deep work of actually creating that taste that people go, I've had a good experience before. This person talks sense. I can see what they're saying makes sense. They're not just a fly-by-night, that kind of stuff. They buy into you because that makes you the preferred choice. That makes you the best option for them because you're not just giving them like proof, you're giving them confidence that you are the right choice. And then the buy is quite simple of making sure that what you offer it's clear that it meets their needs and you make it accessible to them. You give them opportunities to buy, number one. Number two, that what they're buying, they see and you communicate it clearly, too many C's, clearly so they can understand its value. It sounds easy. It's not so easy. So C, visibility. Taste is about inner confidence. And then the buy is clearly communicating the value of what you do so that they get it. So that's the process people have got to go through. But let's look at 5 ways, and we'll do this in 5 ways you can do this. And all of them tie up together. So it would be nice if you could just literally post content and people would flood your inbox and flood you with messages saying, I want to work with you. The marketing message that people put out telling you that's possible happens for a tiny amount of people. And so what happens is a lot of people are flogging that dream, but the reality of achieving that is not so simple. So I want to talk through some things that are straightforward and are more predictable. So the fundamental one, number one, you are going to have to use your social media, particularly LinkedIn, to build an email list. Number one. That gives you the opportunity to go far deeper in a more predictable medium distribution to communicate that value and nurture a crowd. So you've got to build an email list. Your email list is fed by your social media presence. We think about social media in the wrong way. It's a channel to build something permanent, but social media, your presence on social media is rented. You don't own it. You don't control it. It can be taken away from you. You could be very, very popular today, but the algorithm could change and it's all gone. So yes, use it. I love using it. It's very beneficial to me and I wouldn't want to lose it. But fundamentally, my revenue engine is not in the social media space. It's the email list that the social media space builds. So if I have a bad day with content, doesn't matter. If I have a great day with content, whoopee-doo, I feel better. My brain chemistry, my dopamine rush feels great, but it doesn't make a difference. The email list is the engine. Despite all of the trends in social media, despite video, TikTok, all these other things, email still is top for generating business. Even now, even though we get far too much email, even though all of that stuff, it's way better. Think about it. Would you rather compete in a feed of emails or compete in a feed of thousands of posts every single day, right? So email list, number one. If you're selling your expertise in any way, shape or form, or you have people who have to really deeply consider and buy into you before they buy from you, email list is fundamental. So that's number one. And if you're thinking about 2025 right now, one of the things you should have is going, how am I going to build this email? What's my plan to build that email? How is my posts, my presence, everything I'm doing on social media, LinkedIn specifically, building that list? So that's number one, list. Now, email lists are a long-term thing. They're not, they are designed to obviously convert people, but they are a long-term thing, building, building, building. Now, on top of an email list, you can do one of these 4 or 5 things to actually make a difference and pull people out of the email list into conversations, into sales calls, discovery calls, the works. So an email list is a long burn. If you put somebody into an email list and nurture them to the point of a sale, that might be a month, 2 months, 10 years, 3 years. You still don't know, but people are being nurtured, but you're nurturing people at scale. One of the ways, number 2 here, one of the ways that you can pull people out of your list and convert them is through like live calls, webinars, and you pull out of your email list and you give a ton of value. I'll come to what value in a moment. That's the first one. Now that's great because you're giving people more, you build that taste, make your offer of how they can take the next step. So webinars, live calls, that kind of stuff are absolutely brilliant for this. So very, very simple. Now you can, and I'll just explain this. You can flip this and use webinars to fill your email list. Different kind of webinar. You get people into the email list, take them to something else to get them to actually get that depth with you. It's very difficult to get people to buy something cold. They need to experience you a few times, not just once, a few times to be able to have that confidence. So it's hard to do a one-hit wonder. So webinars, live calls. Then the other one is an interactive, like, I don't want to say challenge, but kind of a challenge. So I do this quite a bit. I'll do a content challenge and I will work with a small group of people over the course of a couple of days doing little content challenges to get them into the routine of posting and learning how to post. And I will show them what to do. And that gives them an experience of working with me. They get a taste of what I'm like to work with, and they get a taste of what can happen. So they get that confidence and move to the next step. Now, you can do them on the front end, but it's actually better to get people to do it out of your email list. So a challenge like that, it doesn't have to be a proper challenge. It can just be like, I'm going to do something over a couple of days or one day, but you want people to implement with you. That's the best part of it, because that gives people the confidence to go, what's next? What's the next step? So challenges. Then we've got, and this is again native to LinkedIn, but I often run like a circular loop. So what I will do is I will host an audio event on LinkedIn and invite my email list to come, because I want people to have a deeper connection with me. So even though I've got you in my email list, I might invite you back to an audio event to come and join me live, and you can ask questions and all that kind of stuff. So I use the social platform to help me deepen the connection with my email list. And again, you've got to get into the habit of doing 1 or 2 of these things to deepen the connection you have. Because if you deepen those connections, if they like your style, they like your stuff, they trust you, they believe in you, you've basically shaped it to you're the only choice. You're the only choice. You're the best person for the job. That's why you want to do this. Otherwise, what we're trying to do is there's nothing wrong with this. I teach salespeople how to do this, but if you're going to try and go one by one on LinkedIn, that's incredibly time consuming. And if you're not prepared to learn and learn the skills of doing that, of selling into a cold environment, if you're not prepared to learn those things, if you're not prepared to put the work in, you're setting yourself up for failure. So it's much better for most people, not every person, but for most people to build that list and use the list to basically use that to help you sell. It's much easier. It's less pressure. It doesn't feel as awkward because you're not doing it one-to-one. It doesn't feel as uncomfortable. And you write one email, you send it to as many people as you can grow. And realistically, you can grow your email list pretty quickly. You can grow your email list by 100, 200 a month without even trying. So if you start doing that, it becomes a whole lot easier. So webinars or live calls, challenges, pushing people back to LinkedIn to go on an audio event to interact with me. Now, here's the other thing that you can do. And this is a real simple thing that you can do as part of these 5. Literally, sometimes I will email my list and I will ask them to reply to me and say, what's the number one thing you want from LinkedIn right now? And I'll ask them to reply to me to tell me, what do they really want? And as they reply to me, I reply back to them. And I have a one-on-one conversation with them by email and say, I can get you there. If that's really what you want from LinkedIn right now, I can get you there. But I don't want to go back and forth on email. Let's have a call. And I will do that, literally saying to people, send them an email. What's the number one challenge you've got on LinkedIn right now? Reply to me and let me know. And this is so simple. So it becomes like, what's the routine I'm following? What's the actual routine I want to follow? And guess what? That routine is top social media. What am I doing on social media to fill that email list? Once I've got that email list, what am I doing to deepen the connection and build that trust? Taste. See, taste, buy. And these are just mechanics. Yes, you need to do follow-ups and all that kind of stuff, but these are mechanics. And 9 times out of 10, when I talk to a business owner, they turn around to me, or I turn around to them and ask them, so what's your system for getting clients? What's the plan? What does it look like? And they don't have one. They really don't have one. Or they have, well, I do a bit of LinkedIn and I do a bit of Facebook and I do a bit of this and I do a bit of email, and it kind of comes together. That's what they do. Or they say, I get referrals. Some months it's good, some months it's not so good. I get the odd thing from social media and I'm doing all right. So it's not really joined up. And even like referrals are great. They're the best. Yeah, they're the easiest to sell. And I said this to somebody the other day and I think they got offended by it, but I didn't mean it in an offensive way. I said, sometimes you can be spoilt by referrals. You can be spoilt by referrals. What do I mean by that? Well, I don't mean to offend people, but if you're in the lucky position that you get lots and lots of referrals and they're like, you're more than you need, that's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. I love referrals. I love recommendations. They're the easiest business to get because people don't have to trust you. They trust somebody they already trust. Somebody they already respect and value is saying to them, this is the best person. So it's much easier. So we can get spoiled by referrals because if we've got referrals, effectively somebody else has convinced somebody that we are the best person. So half the sale is done. When we're not getting referrals, when we're having to do it on LinkedIn and all these other places, we have to do way more work. We have to put systems in place. We have to get more clarity. We have to communicate better because we have to build that trust in the first place. So if you're spoiled by referrals or you have been spoiled by referrals, most people find that social media is very difficult. And it's because their offer, their message, their targeting, it's never been tested. It's never been put up to scrutiny of how do I make this efficient process. And so a lot of people go, oh, I'm not, LinkedIn's a bit hit and miss for me. And it's not LinkedIn that's hit and miss, it's their strategy that's hit and miss. So for me, when I'm saying to people, I want your offer, your audience, your message, and your process locked down. That's it. No ifs, no buts. That's what we're doing. Then you can start to put you can fill in the blanks to run that process, which then means you're not spending hours and hours every day doing stuff. What you're doing instead is just working a machine. And that machine is easier to work than trying to, blow up on social media so you get inbound leads or manually prospect people if you don't have to. So you've got to get people to buy into you. That requires systems. If you build an email list and you neglect it, don't be surprised if you don't get sales from it. You have to run that email list like a machine, because that is the engine behind your business. Now, you can put the engine in your LinkedIn if you want. You can put the engine in your LinkedIn, but if LinkedIn changes, you're screwed. I've deliberately decided not to do that because every social media platform that has existed has done that. They've changed things. And then there's been people who've been upset about the changes because of the impact it has on them. So I put the engine in a place I control. And then I use social media to help that engine. I use LinkedIn to help me engage those people, but the control is sat in my engine, in my email list, which I have control over. That's in my control. And that's the way you need to think about how you're going to market yourself online. You use it as the top of funnel to get people into your list so you grow it from there. Now, I'm more than happy. If there's any questions, please fire questions in the chat. I want this to be quite a short live today, but this is how you drive it. And if you're not thinking about this, and if you've not heard it said like this before, think about what I'm saying. It's absolutely logical. It's rational. It makes common sense. But some of you are then going to see, here's the next YouTube hack or Instagram hack to go viral and get 1 million views. And you will get sucked down that rabbit hole thinking that volume equals results. And it doesn't. There's a reason that a lot of content creators are solopreneurs. It's because their business doesn't scale that well. And I know, because I do lots of polls, and I have content creators, some of them you'd be very impressed with their stats saying they need to make more money or they're not making enough money or not getting enough clients. The perception versus the reality. The reality is having a huge top of funnel will get you nowhere if you cannot have the mechanism to get it from lots of visibility, lots of engagement to actually leads, clients, people signing. If you can't do that, it's all for nothing. You're just famous, and eventually you'll resent it. Because what will happen is you'll be serving all these people and you start to get bitter and twisted about it because you'll go, I'm putting all out this valuable stuff, and every time I try and get people to buy something, they don't buy it. And you'll feel bitter about you're putting all the stuff out and people are consuming it but not actually paying you anything. And it's not their fault. If you're doing that, it's your fault. You're basically building a top of funnel that doesn't actually convert. So you have a lot of this nice, warm, fuzzy stuff that gets nowhere. So that's why you want a list. The list is part of the conversion process. It's how you take that nice, fuzzy stuff into something that's bankable. And you need some mechanisms within that list to take people into an opportunity to buy so that they can see the need to buy. See, taste, buy. Dead simple. So I don't know if there's any questions here. I can't see it for some reason because I'm using a different streaming software today. But if this resonates, I want you to message me. Drop me a DM and go, I'm done with this. I want a system. I want this system, and we'll build it. We'll build it together. I do this all day long, help people put these systems in place so they can work the machine day in, day out, and they get that system straightforward, No stress, no selling your soul to social media. Literally work it to get the results. But recap, that people are going to buy into you. So see, taste, buy. Then the 5 things. You've got to build an email list. Use live calls, webinars, that kind of stuff. Challenges where people can work with you for a limited period, whether they're free or paid. Audio events to take people even deeper, drive people back to LinkedIn to do it. And then you've got, what was the final one I said? I've forgotten the final one. Oh, the email. Use the emails themselves to get people to reply to you and have the conversations. It's so straightforward. And you just do it over and over and over and over. And the great thing is, you know what to do to achieve a result, and you just keep doing it. Rather than, I don't know about you, but when you try a new tactic, you know, you see these little sexy tactics about do this and do that. They stop working. They stop working. And so you end up in a position where it's like, what's the next one? What's the next one? What's the next one? And it's so tiring. I have no time for that anymore. I just want systems to work so I can go and do what I really want to do, which is not constantly chasing hacks and tactics and tricks and all that shit. I nearly swore then. So message me. If you're ready to quit this and build this machine, message me. I'm going to finish because I said I'd come on for a little bit of time. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you don't know who I am, I help you master social selling so you build your brand. You win clients without selling your soul to social media. And I'm Dean Seddon. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your week and DM me if you want to make a start on what I've talked about today.